Multiplayer within Assassin's Creed has always been a hot topic, and there was a time in which it played a big part within the game. Not as big as the main story itself, but it was definitely a component. With Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, alongside the main story, which was the main selling point, there was also the multiplayer aspect, and Ubisoft continued on pushing multiplayer for several years, until it came to a stop. Which is a shame, because there were some good moments with multiplayer for the players to enjoy, and also with the direction that Ubisoft were going in, with the amount of other revenue streams that they were trying to open by adding microtransactions into Assassin's Creed, it made sense for it to be multiplayer. But with multiplayer collapsing, they ended up moving those microtransactions over to stories and also bringing in DLCs. But there's something on the horizon, and there's also quite a few surprises, because at some point we will get the multiplayer which is best suited for Assassin's Creed, but a choice of which one's going to be better, well, you'll have to let me know in the comment section down below. Back in September of 2022, Ubisoft announced several projects: Assassin's Creed Mirage, Assassin's Creed Codename Red, Assassin's Creed Codename Hex, Assassin's Creed Codename Jade, Assassin's Creed Infinity, and of course Assassin's Creed Codename Invictus. For this video, we're going to be talking about Invictus, because that is going to be the multiplayer title. Now, there is limited information about this, but so far from the information that Ubisoft has provided, well, we know that it is within development. They have officially announced it, but it is not coming out anytime soon. Mirage is scheduled within 2023. Assassin's Creed Codename Red is scheduled in 2024-2025. Assassin's Creed Codename Hex scheduled sometime in 26. And Invictus is supposed to be one of the last of these, so you're talking beyond 2026. We're years away. And we also need to mention that it is going to be part of Assassin's Creed Infinity. Infinity is going to be the new hub, rather than it being a game itself. And it's important for me to highlight this because it does give us some insight in the direction in which Ubisoft are going in. They want to provide many different experiences for different types of players, and Invictus is supposed to be a part of that, as it will link back to all previous Assassin's Creeds, taking all of the favorite characters and bringing them all into one single multiplayer. Now, the idea behind this is that it won't be co-op, but more of a PvP game mode, similar to the likes of what we did have with Assassin's Creed Brotherhood when that was released. With Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, if you did not play, you weren't actually playing as assassins. You would actually enter the Animus as Abstergo agents and go through this training program. But as you were going through this training program, you would be able to select several characters, go through maps, and go through different game modes. The fact that it's not around today does indicate that it wasn't the most popular game modes ever to exist, but it still had its moments. So much so that Ubisoft did continue to push this into other Assassin's Creed titles. But of course, the big complaint is that you were playing as Abstergo, you weren't playing as an assassin. And that's what most people wanted to do. They either wanted to create their very own assassin to play online, or they wanted to play with their favorite characters whilst engaging with other players who were playing as their favorite characters. And now that Assassin's Creed has been going on for a very long time, there have been many games, loads of different protagonists, and many favorite side characters. There's a lot of options of what they could do with a multiplayer game like this, where they bring back all the previous assassins into one game. But of course, with all of this, there is a problem. For some, they don't like the idea of PvP. Going head to head in a small scale environment, or having to blend in with NPCs and utilize their abilities and hide from other players is just not really what they want to do. And of course, with that, there's always going to be something that is suited to one type of player more than others. So there is a reason for this game to still exist, but there is something else that more players would be interested in: an Assassin's Creed co-op game that would blend in PvE rather than PvP. And this has already been done within Assassin's Creed Unity. The only issue with Unity was that once it was released, It was a complete buggy mess. It goes down as one of the most broken Assassin's Creeds on release. And it took Ubisoft such a long time for them to fix the issues that by the time that they did, most players have already gone through the story. They've got to a point where they no longer enjoyed it or they completed it and they moved on. So by the time those issues were fixed, there wasn't really a player base. But with that said, for those that did stick around, which was of course me, it was a fun game mode. It certainly had its moments. It was just a struggle right at the beginning because of connection issues, which weren't really down to anyone's fault. It was just Ubisoft. You just could not connect to other players, so you had to go through these co-op missions by yourself. So many want to see Ubisoft attempt this co-op PvE game mode where you can play with up to 4 players and you can select between any of the previous assassins that have been part of any of the other Assassin's Creed titles. But so far that doesn't sound like what is going to be Assassin's Creed Codename Invictus. But there is another game in development. There has been several leaks recently that Ubisoft are not just working on the Assassin's Creed titles that have already been announced, which does take us all the way up to 2027, 2028, but also that there's even more on top. And it's no secret that Ubisoft themselves, whenever they've tried to push out a new IP, it's either been cancelled, delayed, or it has not been a financial success. It's been a failure. With all the games which they have on their books, there's a lot of them which are Assassin's Creed titles. They are going all in on the franchise. So even though this is still a leak and there's no official confirmation, there's also a big part of this which makes me go, yeah, that makes sense. According to these leaks, there is an Assassin's Creed title in the works by the name of Assassin's Creed Project Raid. And if these leaks are to be true, Project Raid is a 4-player co-op PvE game, very similar to the likes of Unity. Very little information is given more than this, as this is still very early on. If Ubisoft are announcing the next 5 years of titles, this is beyond this. It's likely that this is just an initial idea at this point which has been pitched. But with that said, this is something that more people would be likely to enjoy more than the likes of a PvP game mode. Or at least on paper, because bear in mind, there is still no gameplay. But the idea of being able to select one of any of the previous assassins and go through various co-op missions with each using their various special techniques, and then be able to go on and complete various different missions, it sounds great. You're welcome to give your opinions in the comment section down below. This is the whole purpose for videos like this. But me personally, I think it's going to be so much better when you're able to have loads of gear, loads of equipment, all of it being upgradable, and you being able to select various assassins with many different outfits that you were able to use as part of each of those games. To bring it all into one and complete different missions which go against the different enemies of different Assassin's Creeds, and maybe even bring in some new ones. This is going to be so much better and so much easier manageable than the likes of a PvP game mode, because even though on paper you could go and bring in everything that I've just said about a co-op multiplayer into a PvP multiplayer, it becomes more annoying because now you have to worry about the balancing side of things when one assassin becomes way more overpowered for the gameplay mechanics which are in place than anyone else, and you would be an idiot not to select that assassin. But in a co-op game mode, it doesn't matter as much because at the end of the day, you are facing off against AI. You're not competing against other players. Not to mention, even though Unity itself did not have a good release, its multiplayer was better received than what Ubisoft attempted multiple times with the PvP game mode. It would be interesting to see which one performs better if Assassin's Creed Project Raid does go ahead. It will also be interesting to see how all of this links into Assassin's Creed Infinity, which will be the main overall hub. Assassin's Creed Infinity itself does bring in more ways in which Ubisoft could monetize the Assassin's Creed franchise. And with that, they have said that Assassin's Creed Codename Invictus could potentially be free to play. This does come from Mark Alexis himself, who is the Ubisoft's project lead. He said after the announcements that we have not finalized our plans for the business model for Invictus, but it is a possibility that it will be free to play. Now it's still way too early, and of course we still need to highlight that it is just him saying a possibility, but I think that possibility revolves on whether or not they can open up those extra revenue streams to then make it more feasible for them to make this free to play, and then of course include those extra microtransactions. Right now with everything, we do only have leaks and rumors and speculation to go off. That's all we have. But it is a fun topic to talk about. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you had a dream Assassin's Creed multiplayer, which one would it be? An Assassin's Creed PvP or an Assassin's Creed PvE? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to know more about the other Assassin's Creeds which are currently in development, then I highly recommend clicking that video on screen. Ubisoft are going all in on the franchise, way more than what they've ever done before. So click that video and we'll be over there to guide you through absolutely everything.